Last week, we started our conversation around altruism. The team at MedCircle headed to Rosarito, Mexico to meet Papa Jan, the director of Catherine's Kids, an orphanage for special needs children. This week, we continue that conversation with Dana Foglesong. She is a mental health and wellness advocate. She is a certified peer specialist, and she's pretty well known for marrying a tree. It's a great show. Happy you're here.
Your brain, your body, your mind, your soul. No one's working show with Kelly and Kyle.
I'm here with Dana, the wellness advocate. I am so excited to speak to you, Dana. And I first heard about you when you married a tree. You married a tree! What was going on there? Why did you do this? And I really want to know how you did this.
So it's actually pretty practical. I was going through a little bit of challenges in my life, both personally and professionally, and I was actually headed towards a crisis. So I sat down, I redid my wellness plan, and one of the things that I committed to doing more was being more engaged in the community. So I did, just more regular volunteering, soup kitchen, those type of things. And I was down at the park that's in my neighborhood, and I've lived in this neighborhood for about 6 years. It's a place right on the water, great view of the sunset, huge tree that you just kind of lay underneath and, in the shade, and just a great place to be. And I ran into a neighbor, and she said, she informed me of what was going on with the tree being threatened to be cut down. And she had an idea to have a commitment ceremony. And I said, hey, I'm all in. Let me know how you can help. So the next couple of weeks, went door to door to all of the neighbors, inviting them. And then the day of the ceremony, we had over 70 neighbors there. My neighbor and I were dressed in white, and we all committed to saving the tree. It was really fun. There was a wedding cake and a DJ, and it was a great time for the neighbors to come out. And then we followed that up with a meeting at the Beautification Council. It was a packed house. I had a handful of petitions, and we ended up saving the tree.
Oh, a happy ending for you and your spouse.
Yeah.
What was some of the reactions when you knocked on a door and said, hey, my name's Dana, I'm having a commitment ceremony with this tree, I need your help?
Yeah, it was more like, I think somebody actually called the cops at one point. So I was riding around on my bike. So it wasn't as friendly until we actually got to the ceremony. But all of the neighbors go to that park. They love that tree. People have taken family pictures there. They've gotten married there. So really, people did want to rally around and save the tree.
Now, it's obviously a very cute story and a story that makes news and people remember, but there's really a bigger message behind that. And for you, what is that message?
Well, the backstory, like I shared, was really about my own wellness. So it is a great story, but for me, it was a wellness tool in that moment to really get engaged. And not something that I've really used throughout my life. I'm actually somebody who at a point was so sick with my mental health condition that I was actually on Social Security disability. And I use volunteering, I use being engaged in the community as a way to recover, as a way to get connected again. So for me, being involved and being and giving back to my community is just sort of a way of life, and it really helps keep me well.
Well, first of all, commendable is probably the best word I can use for that. And I wish more people would realize the value that they can get when they give back. And you're such a great example of that. Can you explain to our viewers what was going on in your life and your mental health when you decided to redo your wellness plan?
Yeah. So this is actually a pretty heavy topic that I don't talk a lot about. But years ago, when I was really struggling, I had a lot of suicidal ideation. So I actually spent years in and out of the hospital. I had a couple of state hospitalizations early on. And then I was in and out of crisis stabilization units, inpatient behavioral health hospitals. I'm actually kind of surprised that I'm still alive. It was that bad. And so over the years, I've had some times where that comes back. And sometimes it can just be when there's a lot of stress going on in my life. So that's actually what happened. I was I had a thought that I didn't like that was very negative, and suicidal. And so that was the plan. The first thing on my list was call the doctor, and get in to see my psychiatrist. But I also made a long list of other things that I needed to do more. And so for me, wellness is pretty simple often. So, it's making sure I get enough sleep, exercising, making sure I feed myself with healthy things.
You're very involved in the mental health and wellness space. You are a certified peer specialist. You put on seminars to educate people about that. What are you seeing in today's current mental health and mental wellness climate?
Well, first, I see people talking more about their challenges. So years ago when I started, it was sort of taboo to talk about what you're experiencing. And there wasn't a lot of people like myself out there. And now I think it's a lot easier to talk about it. There's still a lot of stigma and discrimination, but I think there's a general sense that we need to talk about mental health and we need to talk about wellness. And the reality that 1 in 4 people will live with a mental health condition in their lifetime. So if it's not you, it's somebody that you love, somebody in your community. So I think that's been really helpful that people can start to talk about that. And since I specifically work in the sort of peer specialist field, I'm definitely seeing a much more bigger acceptance of having people with lived experience come back, sometimes come back to the very agency that they received services from and got an experience recovery, and be able to come back into that system and be able to make positive changes. There's that phrase, nothing about us without us. And I think that peer specialists have that great opportunity to help redesign systems and really inform practices where otherwise, maybe if you just didn't have that lived experience, you wouldn't be able to see some of the gaps or some of the solutions that peer specialists can bring because of their lived experience.
Incredible. Well, I had the honor and privilege to sit down with one of MedCircle's doctors, Dr. Sportelli, and he explained that certified peer specialists can work and be heavily involved in the mental health space. And here's what he said about becoming one of those specialists.
Certified peer therapists are people that have experienced what you're going through. And they've been certified by usually the MHA, the Mental Health Association, has requirements. And it's like an hours of supervision and training. But what better type of person in so many cases to talk to than someone that's really gone through it, right? So imagine you've had severe depression and not talking to you talk to a psychiatrist and maybe a therapist, but you have a peer counselor that sits there and has been down that dark road.
Who gets it?
And relates to you. Now, this is especially popular, and this came from the sort of old school way that we still deal with addiction, right? So if you look at most addiction programs, they have peers that have gone through rehab themselves, right? Because they've been there, they understand it, they know the process, they can empathize. And when people feel understood, they're more honest, right? They don't try and pull one over on you, right? Because a lot of people that are depressed even, I mean, we just talk about depression. A lot of people with depression are like, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm feeling better, things are good. Someone that's been down that road can be like, yeah, no, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. You can watch that entire series at medcircle.com. Now, Dana, I have to ask this question because you're on the show and you alluded to it earlier, but now I want the specifics. What is working for you?
Working my wellness plan is working for me. So, it changes all the time. I recently discovered I was probably working out too hard, and so changed some things around and just now make sure that I'm, moving my body at least 10 minutes a day and added in more yoga again. So for me, it's just being very vigilant and recognizing that a lot of times when I'm struggling, it's probably because I didn't do something that I needed to do in my daily maintenance plan. I didn't do something simple, like maybe it wasn't enough sleep, maybe I was drinking too much caffeine. So that's really what I've learned over the years, is that just paying really careful attention to my plan and being willing to try new things. I love listening to other peers, people with lived experience, share about what they do to stay well. And I sometimes steal them and try those things as well.
What's something that you've tried in the last year or 6 months that you really loved?
I recently got a puppy.
Ah, Callie, did you hear that? She's sleeping. Hey,
Yeah.
you have a new friend.
He's sleeping at my feet, and I'm really thankful he's not barking right now.
So what have some of the things that you've experienced with Finn that's helped you in your wellness practice?
One great thing for wellness is structure. So, making sure that he gets, walks. I'm definitely walking more than I used to. I'm pretty much sticking to a better sleep schedule because I want to make sure that I get enough sleep. So if I go to bed at sort of a normal time for him, I get to sleep longer. So it's having Finn has added a lot of structure and of course love, that unconditional love. I got a male dog because I've heard that female dogs love you, but boy dogs are in love with you. So he's definitely a very loving and sweet, kind pup.
For our people watching, not everybody has the luxury of attending one of your seminars or one of these presentations you put on at different hospitals and organizations and groups. If there's 2 or 3 things that you really wish people knew about wellness, what would those things be?
Well, the first is that recovery should be expected. So one of the things that I experienced was really low expectation. So there was a point in my life where really maintenance and stabilization was what was expected of me. And there wasn't the hopes and dreams there was no connection to the hopes and dreams for my life. So that's the biggest thing that I promote is to expect recovery, because when you're feeling depressed or anxious or experiencing other mental health challenges, one of the first things that goes is hope. So we have to have hope for people that they will get better. We have to have hope and hold for their hopes and dreams. So that's the biggest thing.
That is so freaking good. Expect to get better. Expect to recover. I'm going to write that down tonight. That is good. Thank you for that. All right, what's another one?
The other thing is that we all have mental health. So being in the helping profession myself, what I see most common is a lot of burnout. Often we don't take care of ourselves. So especially when I'm in a provider agency or a hospital system, I first of all say thank you, because I know that it's a really tough job, especially for those who work in crisis units or in really settings like a state hospital where you don't get to see people get better. You only see them at their worst. Is just a reminder to take care of yourself. No one is immune from developing a mental health condition that can really take over your life. And so we have to take care of ourselves. And the other thing that I like to remind people is that, so something a mentor of mine says a lot is that consistency compounds. So we often think that we have to do these really big things, but it's often the little things that we do consistently that help us be well. So yeah, we can make a huge routine in our life, change up everything. But if you just change up one little thing and do it every single day, you're gonna see changes.
Yes, you actually gave me a great reminder right now. When people talk about their wellness routine, they want to do a whole 180 life change. They go, I'm gonna become vegan, I'm gonna wake up at 5 in the morning, I'm gonna run 10 miles and start doing yoga and meditate and read 10 books. Whoa. You just said at the beginning of this interview that you just make sure you do at least 10 minutes of movement a day. That is a doable goal. That is something that everybody can do. We all can't run a marathon every morning, but we can all move 10 minutes a day. And so those tiny actionable goals, those are things that we'll actually do. So those are the things that actually work because we do them. That's a really good reminder. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, and then often I'll work out 45 minutes or 2 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
My goal is 10 minutes, and then I've accomplished it, so it feels good.
That is so good. Well, what are some final thoughts or last words that you have for our viewers, or anything that you want to tell them that we haven't covered?
So I would say just take care of yourself. I think that, sometimes we can feel selfish for putting ourselves first, but the only way that we can help other people or, be a good daughter, be a good family member, be a good employee, all those things are if we take care of ourselves. So put yourself first, put your wellness first, and then everything else will fall into place.
That's right. I always say people actually need to be more selfish. I want more people to be selfish, because when you take care of yourself, that's when life really happens, and that's when you can really start living. Thank you so much, Dana. Wonderful. You can reach Dana and learn more about her using the links below this video. And I want to know what you are expecting your recovery to look like. I want to know what life looks for you once you are recovered, because as Dana said to us, you should expect recovery. Thank you, Dana, so much. Have fun today.
Thanks.